morning students, class 9 social studies geography chapter 4 climate. In the last two chapters we have read about the landforms and the drainage of our country. These are the two of the three basic elements that one learns about the natural environment of any area. In this chapter we will learn about the third, that is the atmospheric conditions that prevail over our country. Prevail means proving to be more powerful. Why do we wear woolens in December, or why it is hot and uncomfortable in the month of May, and why it rains in June or July? The answers to all these questions can be found out by studying about the climate of India. यानी जो main तीन elements हैं to study about the natural environment of any area, that are the two which we have studied previously, landforms and drainage, and the third one is climate. Climate refers to the sum total of weather conditions, यानी जो weather conditions हैं उनका जो sum total है and variations over a large area. That means जो geographical conditions हैं different हैं, according to that it varies over a large area for a long period of time. यानी जो लंबे समय तक रहता है, more than 30 years mentioned here. Weather refers to the state of the atmosphere over an area at any point of time. वेदर हम ऐसे कंसिडर कर सकते हैं जैसे मॉर्निंग में बहुत धूप है, सडनली इवनिंग में वेदर चेंज होके बारिश हो जाती है. सो देयर इज अ सडन चेंज, दैट इज वेदर. एंड क्लाइमेट स्टेज फॉर लॉन्ग टाइम. द एलिमेंट्स ऑफ वेदर एंड क्लाइमेट आर द सेम: टेम्परेचर, एटमॉस्फेरिक प्रेशर, wind, humidity and precipitation. You may have observed that the weather conditions fluctuate very often even within a day. जैसे मैंने आपको बताया कि मॉर्निंग में धूप रहती है and suddenly evening you see the weather changing to heavy rain. But there is some common pattern over a few weeks or months. इसका भी एक पैटर्न रहता है, जैसे days are cool or hot, windy or calm, cloudy or bright and wet or dry. ये है डिफरेंस जो रहते हैं, कॉन्ट्रास्ट. On the basis of the generalized monthly atmospheric conditions, यानी जो atmospheric conditions हैं, 3 months कुछ और हैं, 2 months कुछ और हैं, 4 months different हैं, the year is divided into seasons such as winter, summer or rainy season. The world is divided into a number of climatic regions. The climate of India is described as the monsoon type. In Asia, this type of climate is found mainly in the south and the southeast. Despite an overall unity in the general pattern, there are perceptible regional variations in climatic conditions within the country. Perceptible means you can say a slight movement which is being noticed. So there are regional variations in climate conditions within the country. यानी एक ही country में different places पे थोड़ा सा जो climate है वो different रहता है. Let us take two important elements that are temperature and precipitation and examine how they vary from place to place and season to season. Taking example, in summer the mercury occasionally touches 50 degrees centigrade in some parts of Rajasthan desert, whereas it may be around 20 degrees centigrade at the same time in Pahalgam in Jammu and Kashmir. यानी एक ही टाइम में दो प्लेसेस में डिफरेंट टेम्परेचर है, दैट इज विद इन द कंट्री. ऑन अ विंटर नाइट, यानी जो ठंड की रातें होती हैं, टेम्परेचर एट द्रास, दैट इज अ प्लेस इन जम्मू एंड कश्मीर, मे बी एज लो एज -45 degrees Celsius. Thiruvananthapuram, on the other hand, may have a temperature of 22 degree centigrade. आप देख सकते हैं नॉर्थ और साउथ का जो वेरिएशन है उसके अकॉर्डिंग टेम्परेचर भी डिफरेंट है. There are variations not only in the form and types of precipitation, यानी जो precipitation होता है that is of different forms at different places, but also in its amount. यानी जो precipitation है उसमें difference तो है ही, variations हैं, there is also a difference in the amount and the seasonal distribution. While precipitation is mostly in the form of snowfall in the upper parts of Himalayas, it rains over the rest of the country. जनरली हमने देखा है हिमालयन जो एरियाज है हिमालयस वहाँ पे स्नोफॉल होती है मैक्सिमम. दैट मीन्स द प्रेसिपिटेशन इज इन द फॉर्म ऑफ स्नोफॉल, बट एट द सेम टाइम इन अदर पार्ट्स ऑफ द कंट्री इट इज़ इन द फॉर्म ऑफ रेन. द एनुअल प्रेसिपिटेशन यानी जो बारिश होती है एनुअली वैरीज फ्रॉम ओवर 400, यानी एक ही टाइम पे मेघालय में जो रेन हो रही है दैट इज़ 400 सेंटीमीटर लेवल, और लद्दाख या वेस्टर्न राजस्थान में अगर हम काउंट करें तो दैट इट इज़ लेस दैन 10 सेंटीमीटर. वी कैन सी हाउ मच द डिफरेंस इज. मोस्ट पार्ट्स ऑफ द कंट्री रिसीव रेनफॉल फ्रॉम जून टू सेप्टेम्बर, बट सम पार्ट्स लाइक द तमिलनाडु coast gets a large portion of its rain during October and November. In general, coastal areas experience less contrast in temperature conditions. Seasonal contrasts are more in the interior of the country. यानी जो seasonal में differences हैं वो country के interior में ज़्यादा होते हैं. There is decrease in rainfall generally from east to west in the northern plains. These variations have given rise to variety in lives of people. यही reason है कि within a country आप देखते हैं जो people हैं citizens हैं उनकी lifestyle भी बहुत different होती है, रहने का तरीका, उनका food, उनके clothing all are different. यहाँ तक कि उनके जो types of houses होते हैं that also differ just because of the geographical conditions. In terms of food they eat, clothes they wear, and also the kind of houses they live in. Climatic controls. There are 6 major controls of the climate of any place. They are latitude, altitude, pressure and wind system, distance from the sea, ocean currents and relief features. Due to the curvature of the earth, curvature means curved on degrees, the amount of solar energy received varies according to latitude. यानी जो solar energy receive होती है that is also we can say it varies according to the latitude, जो position होती है according to the degrees. As a result, air temperature generally decreases from the equator towards the poles. यानी equator पे temperature बहुत ज़्यादा high होता है and it keeps on decreasing towards the poles. Poles की तरफ जाते जाते ये decrease होता है. As one goes from the surface of the earth to higher altitude, जब हम नीचे से ऊपर की तरफ जाते हैं the atmosphere becomes less dense and temperature decreases. The hills are therefore cooler during summers. The pressure and wind system of any area depend upon the latitude and altitude of the place. Thus, it influences the temperature and rainfall pattern. यानी जो pressure और wind system है किसी भी एरिया का वो depend करता है उसके latitude और altitude पे. And thus it ultimately influences the temperature and rainfall pattern. The sea exerts a moderating influence on climate. Moderating means not much, not less. As the distance from the sea increases, यानी distance जो हमारा sea से है वो जैसे जैसे increase होता है, its moderating influence decreases. वो influence जो है वो decrease हो गया है. And the people experience extreme weather conditions. This condition is known as continentally. Very hot during summers and very cold during winters. Ocean currents along with onshore winds affects the climate of coastal areas. Onshore यानी जो sea shore की तरफ जो winds होती हैं that affect the climate of coastal areas. Giving an example, any coastal area with warm or cold currents flowing past it will be warmed or cooled if the winds are onshore. Finally, relief too plays a major role in determining the climate of a place. High mountains act as barriers for cold or hot winds. They may also cause precipitation if they are high enough and lie in the path of rain-bearing winds. जो हवा चलती है जिस वो विंड जो रेन कैरी करती हैं अगर उनके पाथ में ये जो हाई माउंटेन्स आते हैं उस वजह से भी रेन हो जाती है इजीली. द लीवर्ड साइड ऑफ माउंटेन्स रिमेन रिलेटिवली ड्राई. लीवर्ड साइड हम कह सकते हैं जो साइड शेल्टर्ड है आप कह सकते हो डाउनवर्ड साइड जो है दैट इज बीइंग शेल्टर फ्रॉम द विंड्स, विंड्स का जो है एक शेल्टर बना हुआ है, उस वजह से इट रिमेन्स रिलेटिवली ड्राई. Today we'll end up here. You go through the chapter which we have read till now, the content, and if you have any queries, let me know in the feedback in the WhatsApp group. Till then, thank you class.